That would be my side. I can see to it that you'll not only get a raise, but a substantial bonus, should all things go my way. And since we're working together, I'll take that so-called evidence off your hands. And soon to be non-existent. Now that I know where your loyalties lie, I suggest you act as if nothing's changed. If you're looking for a scapegoat on Project Dominion, you can feed Imogene to the wolves. When it's time for the next phase of my plans, I'll let you know.
Can we speak for a moment?
They know how to make a crime.
My career will be over.
You're back. And Imogene? I was afraid that evidence Nix provided would be legitimate. Ularu will be very disappointed. I'll have Yuko determine her position, so we can start tracking her. Were you at least able to gather any data on how she was able to access Project Dominion? Given her training, I tend to agree. Now, I need to undertake the laborious task of writing up a report to summarize all of this. In the meantime, Masako has requested your presence in R&D. She wants you to meet her in Vinakara's office. Once I've examined this evidence, I may... Yes. Masako was disappointed, but agreed the evidence was irrefutable.
Perhaps this is best left with minimal input on our part.
After some debate, we decided to fully disclose the... Good. As long as the board isn't feeling difficult today. This meeting... Now...
If only there were more hours in the day.
We called you all together to discuss a recent security breach. We discovered a mole within the company who leaked vital information about Project Dominion to Infinity Ltd.
You've got to be kidding me.
Just don't tell me it's Vina. I think we've all noticed she's not here.
Before you speculate any further, no, it's not Vina. The guilty party is Imogene Salzo, much to my disappointment. Our operative here obtained the evidence to confirm it.
Dalton, how does something like this happen?
Imogene is highly trained. Ularu can even speak to that. We demand the best. So that's the threat we deal with.
I may have well-trained operatives, but security is your responsibility, Dalton. This is a huge failing on your part.
I accept the responsibility, but let's not forget, the mole has already been exposed and dealt with.
Of course, thanks to another of my operatives. I know you're not insinuating that this is my fault.
Imogene's been dealt with, so bickering is pointless. All I care about is reacquiring our property and what this might be costing us financially.
Vina is completing the internal neuroamp prototype as we speak. Our operative will receive the implant, infiltrate Infinity Ltd, and obtain any and all research. I have it on good authority, the experimentations they've done to replicate the missing pieces of our...
I can't imagine the mess their legal department...
If I may make a suggestion, it's the best news.
That'd make my job easy.
David it is, then.
Masako, the internal neuroamp is ready if you want to send down the candidate.
I hope you're ready for this. And that's precisely... Vina will be waiting for you in the neuroamp division. Once you're done, meet me in my office.
So much work to do.
I believe you have an appointment with Dr. Kalra. It's a shame about Imogene. I expected better of her. Are you trying to waste all of our time here, or what?
Promise of no downtime was going to be.
Let's just hope her promise of no brain damage holds true as well.
Now that you've been outfitted with the internal neuroamp, it's time to put that tech to work. We're sending you into Infinity Ltd. Lucas Drexler is about to learn exactly why you don't steal from Ryujin Industries. And wish he shall, every day, while he rots away in prison. All right, Yuko has provided a layout. You have two Option A, you gain entry through their maintenance access on the roof. Option B, we give you an assigned identity and arrange a meeting for you. Option A, you need to remain under the radar the entire time. Option B, you have a slight cover that may give you the opportunity to talk your way to your objectives. As long as you're prepared when the time comes. Now, depending on your preference, you'll either find yourself in the maintenance hallway or the marketing department. From there, you have 3 targets. First, you have Lucas Drexler's computer, located in his office on the... Second is Faye Sengsavan's computer, in research. And third, you need to obtain the prototype they are working on, also in R&D.
As you can see, you've several floors to traverse, so I hope you're prepared for an adventure.
That's what we're counting on. Now, I had Ularu create a program that you need to run on both Lucas and Faye's computers. I'll let her explain the details.
You see, once we expose Infinity Ltd., all of their data is going to come under intense scrutiny. We only want the public to know about their mercenary hires and unauthorized human trials, but Project Dominion needs to remain confidential. I've created an overseer program that will gather all the evidence we need, and at the same time delete anything relating to Ryujin and the internal neuroamp. Please do. I hate to think we're putting our faith in the wrong operative.
It is best to keep the public unaware of such a device.
If the media were to draw their own conclusions, I'm certain they'd just create a panic among people. Controlling the narrative is of the utmost importance.
Understood.
No, we don't want to mess on this one. A body count will only distract from what we're trying to accomplish here. In fact, unless they're a master at being one with the shadows, I'd suggest you leave your friend behind. Lower the risk. Simon Rychek provided some useful info on how to evacuate civilians from the building. I'm sure you remember him from Sidonia. Infinity's maintenance crew is understaffed. It's only a matter of time before pressure gauges go unchecked and they have a massive issue on their hands. Once that pressure becomes too much, every floor in the building is going to suffer from gas leaks. Simon was able to get a passcode for you to access their system's computer, so you can force the heating system to fail. I'd highly advise you use it. This assignment isn't the time to test your abilities. The only thing you're out there to prove is that you can get this job done. We're also issuing you an operative suit. It should help reduce their ability to detect you. These suits are typically reserved for the senior ranks, but we want to reduce as much risk as possible. Just make sure you follow through on that statement.
Once you've run the Overseer program and obtained the prototype, your final step is to deliver the slate to David Barron at the SSNN field office. If he asks questions, Feel free to give him just enough information to pique his interest, but no mention of Ryujin or who you are. SSNN is used to anonymous tips. They'll do whatever verifications they deem necessary on their own to confirm the story. You and me both. So, any final questions before you go? Good luck, and be sure to report directly back to me when you return.
Come with me. I have everything you need for this assignment in my office.
Don't wander into any restricted areas.
As much as I hate to admit it, Masako's plan is fairly straightforward and effective. Don't we both? But Masako is right. We don't want to have murder at Infinity Ltd. Overshadowing the news of their greater crimes. The public sympathizes with who they know, and that's the workers at Infinity. They don't identify with the people who died on some distant mining station or volunteered for the wrong clinical trial. Lucky for you, my side of the plan doesn't involve any extra legwork on your end. The program that Masako had me write will be doing all the heavy lifting. While it's downloading the evidence needed, it will also be interspersing an array of files that will say Masako was heavily involved.
I suppose that removes any lingering questions about the kind of operation this is.
That's right. The board will assume Masako either misled us, or that Imogene was working for her. So you have nothing to worry about. Now here's everything you need. Simon's passcode, your operative suit, the Overseer program, and your cover identity. Your cover ID card is encoded with roof entry and elevator access. So that's your ticket in, either way. Don't screw this up. Skylar Lumen? Get in there, and let's show Infinity what happens when they mess with Ryujin Industry.
I believe you were specifically told that we did not want a body count on this assignment. A poor excuse. All the tools at your disposal, and yet here we are. I hope you at least attempted to use the internal neuroamp. And yet not useful enough to avoid a body count? Still, it's good to know the applications are proving themselves. So now it's just a waiting game for SSNN to break the news. Once the story airs, we have another board meeting scheduled to decide how to handle Infinity. Go ahead, Maeve.
The SSNN broadcast has started. Shall I patch it through?
Yes, thank you.
Citizens of New Atlantis were shocked today when an unidentified assailant left several dead at the Infinity Ltd. building. The murders are believed to be linked to a new investigation where Drexler would have been accused of numerous violations, including murder for hire, unauthorized human trials, and corporate theft. Authorities representing the UC and the Freestar Collective have been dispatched to a consolidated mining station and the clinic. Both locations are believed to hold numerous victims. Drexler's motivation appears to be an attempt to launch a new product based off stolen information from a competitor. The details on the project itself have yet to be confirmed, but it's believed that Masako Imada, CEO of Ryujin Industries, may be involved. A series of communications between Drexler and Imada were discovered, where she encouraged Drexler to ignore approval guidelines for human trials. This has been David Barrett for SSNN.
Impossible. You set me up. You expect me to believe you're simply an unwilling pawn in this? We'll find out soon enough. Assuming I know exactly how this situation came about, I have only a few things to say. Should Ularu run this company, the reputation of Ryujin Industries will change dramatically. Her unchecked tactics will be heavy-handed, involving murder without question of both the innocent and the guilty. Ryujin may gain financial success, but the percentage is not worth the real cost.
Masako makes a reasonable point. Well, at least as reasonable as any of this can be.
I am right. There's no room for doubt here. We'll be voting on the fate of Infinity Ltd. And now I also assume my position is at stake. It's very important we receive at least half the vote on both issues. The CEO rules in the event of a tie. I need you to use everything in your power to convince them. And that includes using the internal neuroamp. I know you can as well. So now you're fully aware of my expectations. You'll find most of the board members in their offices preparing. Vina is also here, waiting for the meeting to start. We'll need at least 50% of the vote to go our way. In the event of a tie, I will make the final decision. I trust you'll get it done. Remember to take any opportunity to push for acquiring Infinity. And you freely admit it. My next question would be, who put you up to this? So this is about the money, is it? Assuming I know exactly how this situation... Should Ularu run this her unchecked Ryujin make...
Masako...
Fine. I'll see to it you get the credits. We'll be voting on the fate of Infinity Ltd. It's very... I need you to... Good. You'll find most... We'll need at least... I trust you'll get it done. Either way, the damage is done. We'll be voting on the fate of Infinity Ltd. And now I also assume my position is at stake. It's... But she's... It's true. Ularu's always put Ryujin first, and I can't argue that. Even with her aggressive tactics, she'll keep Ryujin at the top for decades to come. I encourage you to speak to the board members. We'll be having the meeting shortly to determine the fate of Infinity Ltd. And now, I imagine, myself as CEO. We must receive at least 50%. I trust you'll be able to swing.
I take it Masako wasn't as pleased to hear the SSNN broadcasts as she thought she'd be? Of course she didn't. And now she's going to have some serious regrets about holding this upcoming board meeting. Which brings me back to you. Masako wants us to acquire Infinity Ltd., which is obviously not on my list. I need you to persuade the board members otherwise, and make sure they're on our side when I move to vote Masako out. As I was saying, I need you. You don't think I've weighed those possibilities? Actually, perhaps I was a little overzealous. Being able to pick and choose the talent as I see fit does have plenty of benefits, and I could hold the garnered good faith over Viv for years to come. All right, I'm convinced. But if this turns into a mistake, I'm holding you accountable. Just get the others on board. The internal neuroamp essentially guarantees success. As long as you get the results I'm looking for, I don't care how you do it. With Masako out of the way and the internal neuroamp finally ready for production, Ryujin Industries will be set for life. Or at least until I retire.
Given the cutthroat manner in which your company operates, I might be careful referring to retirement.
Exactly. And all you need to do is use it to get the board on the winning side. I'll be expecting results, Op. Don't screw this up.
I hope you're enjoying your new neuroamp. And how's my favorite patient doing? Oh, that's great. I'd say Project Dominion is ready for legitimate human trials in that case. So, tell me what you think of the neuroamp. I'd be the next Ray DeCaris, my childhood hero and mentor. How amazing would that be? DeMarcus, eat your heart out. Don't. So the next question is, what will the fate of Infinity Ltd be? Wow, you're no fun. I guess there's no point in examining their failures. Besides, I don't want any of their research to steer me in a bad direction. I know Masako will be... I still can't get over everything that's happening, but you're right. Maybe a change of leadership is needed in order to prevent this from happening again. And I have no doubt that Ularu would keep my department fully funded. Well, this has certainly been the most interesting conversation of my day. All we can do now is look forward to the meeting, right? See you in there.
Don't tell me. Masako wants to make sure I'm still on her side after SSNN dropped this media bomb on us? And look, I know Masako sent you. She knows I want this deal as much as she does. Now that she's been tied to Lucas, buying up Infinity Ltd only reinforces the narrative. It's gonna be a hard sell to make this look good. Aren't you the flatterer? You're right, of course. I've certainly handled worse. Besides, I haven't had a good challenge like this in a while. All right, so let's hear it. Now that's a delicate subject. But our competition really is upping their game. If we want to survive the coming onslaught, you're right. Ularu would be the logical choice. And what's your second point to consider? The possible backlash on tech. However, the internal it's not an opportunity. You're right. The moment you violate your customers' trust, there's a good chance they'll never come back. Even worse, you push them into the hands of your competitors. Well, it seems your talents really do stretch beyond just being an operative. Good.
I'm glad we're making an effort in our appearance today. Just the person I wanted to see. An efficient exchange. You've had the chance to encounter members of Infinity Ltd. Do you think they're worth Your statement confirms my suspicions. As much as Genevieve believes the public perception would boost over... Next question. What are your thoughts on SSNN's reports that Masako is allegedly connected to Lucas Drexler? Yes. Desperation often leads. I find it difficult to believe that our CEO was truthfully involved in such endeavors. I look forward to seeing what Alexis can learn about the subject. Yes, Ularu would be a very capable CEO. Her loyalty to Ryujin is unmatched. I appreciate the insight. I suppose I should ask if there's anything I can do for you, considering. This has been rather enlightening for me. I appreciate the time.
If only there were more hours in the day. Great, the bane of my department. If you need something, make it quick. Choose your words carefully. If you expect me to respond to threats, you're sadly mistaken. Now, I can only... I mean, I could handle it as well as any other high-profile situation. But the real question is, do I want to? And the answer to that is no. Are you trying to add to my stress right now? First off, if I find out you used that device on me, I will tie you up in court. Second, that tech is one major human rights violation that no legal team wants to fight. I'll do whatever I can to make sure it's either severely delayed or collects dust. In an ideal situation, yes. And I suppose creating that ideal situation is within my power. Now you've made it sound like a proper challenge that I can't help but accept. Masako's lucky to have you at her disposal. Even if you aren't, you may be the greatest asset. You aren't the first person to say that. There's definitely something to be said for Ularu. She's ruthless in ways that Masako isn't, and ruthlessness may be just what we need if we're to stay ahead of the competition, especially after this mess with Infinity. This exchange has been surprisingly insightful, but now I really do need to get back to my notes.
This meeting should prove to be very interesting, especially after that bomb SSNN dropped in their last broadcast. I assume Masako briefed you on her preferred outcome. That blasted tech.
It would be almost fitting to see the technology immediately turned on those who fostered its creation.
If it were up to me, I'd have shut down Project Dominion a long time ago. I knew it was a grave security risk, and look what happened. I suppose you're right. As long as I'm fully aware of the risks, I can properly account for them. My first priority will be to get the board and all security members set up with shielding as soon as... Plus, if we vote to acquire Infinity Ltd, we're about to add a significant workload onto my team. The last thing I want to deal with are any more incidents this new neuroamp might cause. I hate to agree, but you're right. And I'm sure you would side against her after everything we've been through. I can't shake this feeling that I and your argument. I never thought I'd be agreeing to Ularu as CEO. But I'm beginning to believe you're right. I owe Masako a great debt for my success in life. It pains me to admit you're right. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to make sure I'm prepared for this meeting.
To start this meeting, let me just say that the SSNN allegations are completely false.
And you expect us to just believe that?
If they're false, how did this happen?
I'll be ordering a full investigation, but I have my suspicions, which I'll address once this meeting has concluded. Until then, I'm still CEO, and we'll be moving forward with this meeting to acquire Infinity Ltd.
Do you really think we want a potential criminal? One suspected of being the actual mole here, leading a crucial meeting like this? In fact, I propose we remove Masako as CEO altogether, and nominate myself to take her place.
You can't be serious.
As much as it pains me to say it, I second the motion. My apologies, Masako, but we failed here. Perhaps new leadership is what's needed moving forward.
Dalton, you can't seriously believe that.
Agreed. I initially believed we could pull through this, but I think a fresh perspective is necessary to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Any arguments against?
Yes, on the fact that I'm innocent and completely capable of doing my job.
Let's leave it up to the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
I had a feeling this would go my way.
Traitors. All of you.
Well, there you have it. And now, since you're no longer a part of this board, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
This isn't over. To think I had high hopes for you.
Now, Masako. Don't go taking out your shortcomings on our operative here.
Enough with your attitude, Ularu. I don't care what anyone says or what the evidence is. I know you're behind this. And I'll prove it, no matter how long it takes.
Good thing you're going to have plenty of time on your hands, then. Security. Why don't you escort Masako to her office? I'm sure law enforcement will be looking for her soon anyway. Now, let's get back to business. So, any arguments for the acquisition?
I think the timing could work. Masako's removal and our stepping in could be seen as an act of apology.
Arguments against?
There's pretty much no technological benefit here. We've always been ahead of Infinity Ltd.
After the series of security issues we've had lately, I'd be remiss if I didn't agree. This simply is not the time.
All right. All in favor of acquiring Infinity Ltd?
Aye.
And all against?
Nay.
Well, not the answer I expected, but I'm not a glutton for punishment. Viv, start work on the announcements. Lyndon and Alexis, I want proposals on my desk end of day tomorrow. Does anyone have anything else to bring to the table before we break? The internal neuroamp is exactly what ensures Ryujin's success for the next decade or so. What makes you think we'd shelve it?
Says the one person who has one.
Your operative is right, Ularu. The moment the public gets wind of the true capabilities of this tech, we're gonna suffer severe backlash.
Fine, but just know how much it pains me to do this. All in favor of shelving the internal neuroamp?
Aye.
And all against?
Nay.
Thank goodness the majority of us seem to have Ryujin's best interest at heart. I almost hate to ask now, but are there any other matters to bring forth? No? Good. Meeting adjourned.
So much work to do. That meeting certainly didn't go as expected.
I can't imagine there's going to be anything easy.
I'm relieved we
about this
didn't move to
transition.
acquire that mess of a company.
I can't believe we voted against Infinity. I really wanted to get my hands on their research.
Well done. Very well done. No Infinity LTD mess to clean up, and no more Masako as CEO. You've proven yourself to be quite the asset here at Ryujin. For me especially. I do love the sound of that. It takes guts for someone in your position to go up against the CEO. And Masako never saw it coming.
If there is one thing we have in abundance, it is guts.
She'll be tied up in court, disputing the evidence against her. It's sure to be a long, drawn-out ordeal. I hope Alexis is ready for some late nights. But I do good work. She'll be found guilty and spend the rest of her life in jail. That attitude must be why we work so well together. Now, as promised, I have your bonus. I'm sure you'll find it adequate for all you've done. I'm also promoting you to senior operative. You've certainly proven yourself capable enough. If that helps pad your ego, so be it. As a senior op, you now have a personal office, mission board access, and you're free to work on your own time. The mission board will hold any available assignments, although I may still notify you should I require your more specific talents. Oh, and no more docs and pay. I only care about the end result, not the methods. Any questions? With Masako gone, penalties are a thing of the past. Results are all that matter. Besides, the benefits typically outweigh the cost of any cleanup. It's basically an automated handler. Think of it as your personal kiosk that lets you pick and choose your own assignments. On the operations floor, of course. The majority of them, at least. Trust me, it's better this way. In that case, I suggest you get familiar with the mission board before you leave today. I'll admit, you helped me pull off a pretty big win. So, if you want to take some time off, I get it. Just don't forget, you still have a job that I expect you to do. Ularu Chen, CEO. I like the sound of that.